Welcome back to golf, friends. Me and Jeff are going to talk about all the bets in a minute, and we're going to do a best ball draft. Code Mayo and Underdog. Get yourself in there, by the way. But we recorded this before Scotty Scheffler withdrew with an injury from this tournament. He is expected to be back at the American Express, but he will not be playing in the Sentry. Additionally, no Shane Lowry, no Tommy Fleetwood, and no Rory McIlroy. We did not know that information before we recorded the show. So all the odds that we talk about in this show are reflective of those guys being in the tournament. Now, obviously, the odds have reset, and we still like a lot of the people that we talked about, but I will have a refresher on Wednesday in order to make the finalized bets and play. But Jeff and I talked through the entire field, the guys that we like. Unfortunately, we didn't like any of those four guys, so it actually worked out pretty well. Stick around to the end. Jeff and I do one of those drafts together, and my entire best ball strategy article is free and up now in the Mayo Media newsletter. All you need to do is hit the link and go find it. All right, let's go.
This is a really non-scientific statement, so we'll get the year off, in a good way.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to season 11 of the Fantasy Golf Picks and Bets Show with Geoff Fienberg on Mayo Media Network on the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Jeff, you're on vacation right now, away from your home studio, but you're in golf weather, so I assume you're ready to kick off season 11.
I am ready to kick off season 11. It is jarring. I do enjoy. I know there's people who love us who are just can't stand when golf takes some time off. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm not going to lie. I wish they would take a little more time off, but starting to get a taste for it again. The hit and giggle will be nice. 11 years. Honestly, Pat, I think year 10 was the worst one I ever put forth. So I gotta pick myself up.
Well, we recap this on the Year in Review show. You and I did that with Kenny Kim. That's out on the network right now. That I had one of my most profitable golf betting seasons ever because of one day, yet the rest of the season was awful for me. So I, too, am looking to turn it all around. And you guys have a chance of getting some unique draws for some extra cash to kick off golf season. If you don't know as of yet, the Giant One and Done is starting at the Sony. So next week, the Giant One and Done will start. This year, at the Race for the Mayo Cup, there is $1 million of guaranteed money in the prize pool, $100K to first, $70K to second, very flat payouts across the board. Now, there are two ways to get into a draw. I can give you a free ticket if you leave a rating and review on the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple or Spotify. I know there's a lot of people who don't want to pay the entry. They don't have the money for it, whatever it is. This is a way that you can get into it. And if you're looking for the strategy, the rankings, whatever it might be, join the newsletter as well. You can get a ballot in the draw that way too. Now, the easier way to get a free entry into the Giant One and Done is go to fantasygolfchampionships.com, get an entry for $250. It'll work out to be like $7 a week over the course of the season. Then screenshot me your entry on Twitter, Instagram, reply to the newsletter, and there will be a draw on New Year's Day. There'll be a draw on this show, the Monday for the Sony Open as well. 4 free entries for people. Do all of those. You can have up to 5 entries in the One and Done, so I'd highly recommend that you go do it, Jeff. It is 43% filled already, and we haven't even done a golf pick show for a tournament yet.
I put myself in for 3 entries yesterday.
I love it.
So I'm in a little wiggle room, maybe catch a taste to hit a couple more. I am a historic donation. If I finish outside the bottom 10%, it would be a success story for me in One and Done.
If you're looking for more strategy stuff, the Underdog Best Ball Drafts start this week at the Sentry. Now, Byron and I have already done a strategy episode. Jeff and I are going to do a draft a little bit later on with some bullet points on strategy, sort of the condensed version. I have my rankings in the newsletter right now. You can get that link down in the description. That's completely free to go check out. And I've been using fantasynational.com, fantasynational.com/Mayo to go through this. You saw how I used it on the research show yesterday. If you haven't seen that yet, go check that out because golf is back. It's time to embrace everything that's going on. With the Sentry, it starts on the 2nd. Now, you just said you liked the little bit of time off that you get over the off season. I think they should maybe push this tournament back a week. Like, it's unnecessary to start it on January 2nd.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that it was that if we wanted to get the show out, when we would have to record it. I thought we did have an extra week, but I clearly checked out. So that went over my head, but I can't wait. Not I will be home, and to think next Thursday, watching Scotty and Ludwig and the whole crew hitting shots in Hawaii, a whale jumping in the background, and where it's freezing and dark at 5 o'clock for us. That is warming the soul. And I say that sitting in Florida. So I feel cold thinking about going home, and that golf is going to warm me up.
7,600 yards. A par 73, the largest greens on the PGA Tour, some of the slowest greens on the PGA Tour. Chris Kirk is the defending champion at minus 29. Rahm got to 27 under the year before that when he crushed my soul it was Colin Morikawa who crushed my soul that year when Rahm was able to stage the Sunday comeback. Cam Smith won at 34 under against Rahm and Matt Jones that year. Harris English won the year before that. So I guess what it's really boiling down to, when I go back and I look at the past winners, especially of the past 6, 7, 8 years, Jeff, and changing my strategy with this year, this is a putting contest. I don't know why it didn't really occur to me until now. I was like, oh yeah, it's the John Deere, and they're giant fairways, but they're really undulated. So the Masters correlation, the John Deere Classic correlation. That's why Stricker had so much success here, and Jordan Spieth and Zach Johnson have had so much success. No, they're just really good putters. Anyone who putts well can win this tournament.
Yeah, as long as you're not horrible, or you don't despise or mentally get rattled when you have to hit off of a uphill or downhill lies. Remember that annoying bit they had Nota Begay walking the fairway with a ruler a couple years ago, to show you you're fine. You got to make your putts. In the second half of our 10-year existence, this became more of a long shots got in here a lot more than in the first half of our time doing a podcast. And I mean, the only thing that's caught my eye are guys that sort of, are kind of the tier of the lesser quality players that have won here before. I don't think I'm betting on a good player this week, but I could get talked into it.
Yeah, I could be talked into it as well, but I went to fantasynational.com, as you can too, fantasynational.com/Mayo for that 20% off. Get the annual right now. You get every tournament throughout the course of the season. And I just sorted by Velcro and average greens. These are some of the slowest greens on tour. They are the biggest greens on tour. So who can putt well on super slow greens? The problem is you don't see a lot of super slow greens. And do you know who by far the best player is on slow greens?
I mean, I would be cheating because I heard you and Paul talking, so I don't even want to take credit for the Denny McCarthy ranking.
Well, it's not Denny. Overall, it's Denny McCarthy. He's actually third per round. Some other guys don't have a lot to qualify. Matthew Pavon is second, but he has one round that qualifies. The guy that's actually leading has 3 rounds to qualify, but it's someone that Paul was talking to me before the show and is, I think, the perfect type of guy to take a stab on this week at triple digits, and it's Nick Dunlap.
Going deep. Okay, I was staring in that 50 to 80, but okay, next level. Nick Dunlap was just gonna wax that place and make his putts.
If he does, he's won twice already in his career. Once as an amateur, once as a rookie. He just won Rookie of the Year. Now, I don't love first-timers at this course, but let's throw that out. Can you get on the green? Can you have enough birdie putts and make all these putts? That's all I'm looking for. Guys who make putts. Everyone's going to hit greens in regulation. It doesn't matter really how you drive the ball, unless you're Dustin Johnson that one year where he was driving par 4s with the wind at his back. These fairways are gigantic. You can land a jumbo jet in all of these fairways. It's a second shot course, and can you make your putts? That's why I'm not betting Scotty at plus 260. If this was a super difficult course, then yeah, give me all the Scotty in the world. But he's going to have to kind of sun run his putter or hit everything to 5 feet. It's probably more likely that he hits everything to 5 feet than sun runs with his putter.
If he wins this thing, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Because it's not, you just said it, it is not for him. At plus 250, plus 260 on the resort course situation, this is where his dominance, like it's the difference between him and everyone else, even the guys at the back, is squeezed that much harder. If he wins this one, like I don't even plan on betting this hard. I'm gonna go down the board. We're gonna have some fun, but I'm gonna be put into a pretzel on the first weekend of golf because I don't know already. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like finally bite and take each ways because of this guy. Him winning here is going to demoralize me so much more. And as a golf bettor, I entered the year already demoralized, thinking about how to swerve around this guy.
Yeah, I can see it. Listen, I'm not going to bet him at this tournament at plus 260, but let's get into the odds. And more odds will get released. We're filming this a little bit early to make sure that we can have it out on a Monday morning, as we normally will in the general course of a week. But where this tournament starts weirdly, New Year's Day, the day after New Year's, travel going on, we're getting it out early. So odds might adjust favorably, I would guess, over the weekend once more books put out their numbers. But right now, Scotty is the favorite. He's plus 260. And after that, it's Xander at plus 650. Rory is playing in this tournament for the second time in his career. Last time was in 2019. He's 9-1. Morikawa, who flirts with winning, then doesn't win this tournament every year, is 13-1. Thomas is 16, and those are your 5 guys that are below 20-1. Honestly, Xander would be the one for me that I'd look at here.
I'd be crazy enough if you made me bet here, I would take Justin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been forever since he's won, but he's won here. I remember I had a Patrick Reed ticket that he just annoyed me with, but not the greatest putter, so it would counter that. But I mean, I don't want to start my year losing money on this guy, but he is going to get off the mat fairly soon in 25. Like everything is trending that way. I would bet Justin Thomas at that 16 if I was forced to make a pick here.
So let's just kind of scroll back. He's won here before. He won in 2020. I believe he won in 2017 as well. And that's the year that he then won the Sony the next year when he shot 59 in the first round. He's had some great finishes. He didn't qualify for this tournament a year ago, so he didn't play. So his past 4 finishes are T25, T5, third, and first. So maybe you're right. Maybe at more than double the odds, JT is the better look than Xander. Xander's another guy who's won here before, though. And when we're thinking about the guys at the top end, I know Rory can roll it pretty well, but I trust his putter in between. Like Scotty and Morikawa of this tier, I think, are the low-end putters. Thomas and Rory are probably in the same mix. Rory's probably better than Justin Thomas, but when you get onto slower greens, maybe it's a little bit easier for him. And then you just take a look at Xander, who's by far the best putter of this bunch.
This is a really non-scientific statement, so we'll get the year off, in a good way. When we get to an event like this where, a lot of these guys are probably just bringing their kids to Hawaii, it's vacation, it's perfect, it's no cut, it's hit and giggle. This is awesome. And then we have the players, maybe you could put Colin in here, and there's another, or maybe a few more in the 20s, who are so desperate to win a PGA Tour event. Part of me wants to think that, and get off the mat, with a win drought, I guess I'm more referring to. I guess Tommy is the one who actually doesn't win events, period. Nothing on a resume. That this is the opportunity to take advantage of all the boys drinking their Mai Tais. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say I want to bet Justin Thomas at Riviera or Waste Management in a month, I don't know that I'm going to be allowed to use but he wanted Sentry, so he's off the mat. Like people be like, come on, man, that's a Sentry. But it's these preeminent winners in win droughts who I think are going to come here wanting the off the mat more than Mai Tais.
And do you think that we saw more of that last year because they finally allowed, the field expanded last year. This used to be just the Tournament of Champions. It is no longer the Tournament of Champions. It's everyone who won on tour last year, plus the top 50 in the FedEx Cup standing. So there's going to be 64 guys in the field. Last year was the first time that we saw that. Then all of a sudden, Chris Kirk wins. Now, he had won at the Honda the year before, so it's not like he was a non-winner. But when you start circling back and taking a look at some of the other names that finished at the top, it was Sahith, who didn't have a win. Spieth, who did have a win, but was up there as well. Ben An didn't have a win. I don't think Im had a win the year before either. He ends up getting there. Harmon is up there. He had come in winning the Open. JT Poston didn't have a win in that calendar year. So you had a lot of these basically low-end guys that you would want to back at the Heritage or Vegas, which is off the schedule now, or even next week at the Sony that kind of popped their heads up here in a tournament they would normally not play in.
I'm going to lose money on that angle.
Okay.
Like guys down the board who shouldn't be here, who this is a true opportunity for, versus the guys who are, I mean, like Scotty just won at the Tiger event, and he looked great putting at the whatever with the Live Challenge Rory thing. So he's playing good. He's always good. But I will be betting on guys who this is an opportunity for to take advantage of. But I have no idea, Pat. I mean, they could be drinking the Mai Tais and not giving a shit and be getting their free check for finishing 27th or no cut. So I'm going to do it a lot. I'm playing armchair psychologist with how I think on who I want to bet with. And the expanding of the field, I don't think it's a coincidence that a guy like Chris Kirk takes full advantage of that. I'm going to bet for that to happen again to some respect. I was on Sahith last year, and that was a total Skylar tout when he's like, guys, Sahith, on courses you used to love Jordan Spieth at, just start playing Thiegs at those courses, right? Because there's just a lot of, I guess, similarities in the craziness, the chipping, you're not going to drive it off the mat, all that. So, I mean, he's another guy, but that is down the board. I'm betting on guys for opportunity this week.
So
Not the top of the world.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that even though that Thomas would be your favorite bet from the top end, Xander would be my favorite top end, frankly, we're just not betting these guys.
I don't think I want to get there. Yeah, not at all. And there's some guys in the 20s that I could be tempted with as well. But I'm also in Florida, so I can't even touch these odds till I'm home. So I'm not going to be clicking for a couple days. Everything's going to percolate a little.
Yeah, and you can wait for more books to open up their odds, too, to find the best number on all of this. We highly recommend that. I know my Canadian friends should be looking at CoolBet. They give some very nice golf odds. You can't take advantage of Ontario, but if you don't live in Ontario, you can use CoolBet. And code DuggerPass will get you all rigged up with that one as well, with a deposit bonus if you want to take advantage of that. And they sponsor Adam Svensson, our guy, so you might as well go for it. The 20 to 40 range. Ludwig, your guy. Cantlay, Tommy, Sungjae, Hideki are all between 20 and 30. Then you have Victor at 30. Then you have Finau, Burns, Connors all at 40. And then Akshay, Scott, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, Sahith, Henley, and Ben Ann all at 50 to 1. So that's a gigantic range. You said there were some names in there that intrigue you. Who would they be?
Well, for starters, and maybe this would be the sign to bet them, the player like under 30 to 1, the really high quality player that I believe has the smallest chance to win from the very good players, despite his odds being back there. Like, there's no way in my mind Hideki is winning this week.
How come?
He's just like this is a motor rever. Like that the engine's got to rev a little for this guy. That's just my opinion. Of all the players, he would be my biggest potential fade in the outright betting market, but I'm not betting a no. Like, I'm not that guy, so there's no really way to bet it. And I'm not exactly looking to pick on him in head-to-heads, but that would be it. Ludwig at 22 does feel strong, but I don't know, it'll probably be bad for my health to start there. I'll lose enough money on him this year. Hopefully this, like, I don't know what to say. Sometimes the form was so good that any sort of tick backwards feels like a lag. So hopefully this lag allows me to like pepper him a bit early in the year in the mid-20s. But I'm not going there. I'm not going there today. If maybe I had to make a pick here, Sungjae would be the guy. Even though I don't really love the price, Sungjae might be the guy for me.
I don't love the price either, but I was definitely eyeing Sungjae. I vividly recall him leading this field in birdies last year and not winning, which is kind of crazy to think that how can you bogey holes at this easy of a course, but he managed to find a way to do it. But you know that he's someone who's going to shoot out of the gate here. Like, we're going to do a best ball draft on Underdog in a little bit. Code Mayo at Underdog, get that deposit bonus. But you're looking for the Sungjae types in best ball. Like, I did my rankings. I think Rory's ranked like 50th or something like that. Cantlay is way down the list. You need guys that play all the time. I just feel like there's no one better suited than Sungjae to come out of the gate and just be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to play.
No one is more prepared for that draft than your audience.
True.
I have seen people post the drafts and they are peacocking they don't have a clue what the rules were. The scoring. You've all gone through that with Byron. We've talked about it a bunch. People are going to smash the underdogs. You got to watch that.
Well, here, I have my season-long best ball rankings. Now, we go over the rules and stuff. We'll do the recap a little bit later on. Can you guess my top 10 in overall rankings?
No, because I'm broken. I haven't done it yet. I've signed up for the one and done. I haven't, sat outside smashing underdog lineups because I feel like the earlier in the week I start, the more I'll do. So if I start later in the week, then that's just like potentially a lot less calories I can be subjected to by starting like later in the process.
Of note, Scotty and Xander are number 1 and 2, so that's not wrong. I have Sungjae at 3 though, because he's gonna play.
Okay, but why? This is gonna sound. I should know the answer. Why would Rory be 50 and Xander be 2? Rory plays that much less than Xander?
No, he doesn't play that much less than Xander, but Xander and Scotty are both playing the American Express, presumably, and one of them might actually play the Farmers, and then Rory goes overseas. So, all the Euros, Fitzpatrick, and it's not locked in that they're going to do it. Although I think Rory did commit to Abu Dhabi or whatever it is. Your points on the DP World Tour don't count for this.
Okay, that just right there makes total sense. And I'm not here to say Rory should be tied or with Xander, but to hear him ranked 50 is crazy. What his ADP must be wild, like 11 or something.
Yeah, his ADP is just outside the top 10. And it's not that I think that he's the 50th overall best player. If dude wins 2 tournaments, he's going to be a top 5 guy within the first part. But you have to advance out of from Sentry to, I believe it's the Cognizant, so Honda, or maybe it's Mexico, whatever the first leg is. That's where you need to get your points. It's you can't draft a live guy. You can think that Bryson wins 2 majors. That's great. He's still going to be useless in this league.
Yeah, that's, again, I've seen people peacocking their rosters, and they should, and they probably show them to their friends, and wait, were there 4 people in this pool? How did you get all these guys? And they're going to find out the hard way that they are DOA in this thing.
Yeah, when you take a look at my rankings and Siwoo is 5th and Eric Cole is 7th, then you start to get an idea of how the rules actually work for this. And the biggest thing is, you want to try to find a corollary towards your back end. Take the good guys where you can take them. They're going to play in the signature events. You pile up your starts. But if you only have guys in signature events, then you're not going to have anyone to play at Farmers or the American Express or the Mexico Open. Those count actually for more because those are easier tournaments. And there's no finishing placements in any of this stuff. So, Bryson could win the U.S. Open, let's say. So Bryson wins the U.S. Open at -3. Well, he's going to get outscored by 48 people in the John Deere Classic field.
Objectively hilarious. Or the RBC the week before the US Open at the Osprey, which they are going. I mean, actually, they've done a good job, Golf Canada, in setting courses up harder than any of us thought, but Osprey's going to be a birdie party. So right there, the week before the U.S. Open, you're going to get way more points.
Here are some dudes that are going to play in both the Sentry and probably play in Mexico, which is probably the easiest tournament. So the 2 easiest tournaments on the slate are those 2. It's just no good players play in the Mexico Open, but if you can find some that overlap in both, then you're dancing. I think Jake Knapp is going to go back to defend his title. Therefore, he's a great pick. Patton Kizzire, Harry Hall, Johnny Vegas, Davis Riley, Mav McNeely, Matt McCarty, Chris Goddard, Rafael Campos. Don't really love Campos. Don't really love any of these guys, but they're going to play in both those tournaments, and their score from those 2 tournaments might eclipse what other guys do in 5.
It's so funny to just think of sometimes I have a hard time clicking bets because I know it's a bad bet.
Didn't you hear those names?
And to see the names you're passing up to take somebody, but you just got to trust, the process, but it still has to be bothersome doing it. I guess we'll see it soon, and I'll see it a lot in the coming days.
All right, let's circle back to that 20 to 50 range, although I do want to tell you that there is a bet out there. I found it on CoolBet, but it's the Bay Area team to win the TGL at 5-1 or 6-1, one of the 2, whatever it is. That's the team you want to bet on. That's just my take. It's all the young dudes.
Yeah, I'm hyper fascinated with the TGL. As much as I, use Twitter to complain about golf or the PGA, I love it. And as much as I do, if I could find an opportunity to make fun of the PGA, I think I do. but it also has enough equity in me and the people involved in the TGL that like I'm absolutely in. It's like, you know what the TGL is, Pat? It's like when Adam Sandler like makes a movie.
Like
I know there's the
Grown-Ups?
Happy Gilmore too, but it's like you have done so good to me. Like Christopher Nolan makes a movie, even if people are reviewing it poorly, he has so much equity in you, you are going to see the movie. Like he has built up enough equity that you like are just going to see the movie, even if other people don't like it. So that's kind of me in the TGL. And then maybe 3 episodes in, I'll be like, this is not for me. But I will absolutely give her a go.
So the Bay Area team is 5th of 6th on the odds boards, but it's a simulator league. Remember this. So driving and putting are really going to be the 2 things that matter the most. One team has Minwoo, Ludwig, and Wyndham Clark on it with Shane Lowry. And 3 of those guys can drive and putt, and I think that's all you need. That's my angle, at least.
I got nothing to fight you on.
There it is. So you like Sung Jae, I like Sung Jae. At 28, maybe we can see a bigger number. I don't think that we're going to be alone on that. Is there anyone else from that range you like? Because I was on Akshay here last year, and he was very much in the mix and had a horrible Sunday. I don't hate going back to him here.
Okay, but what about going back to Thiegs at 50?
Maybe? Yeah, I could do Sahith and I could do Akshay. It wouldn't bother me.
Sahith had like a really good year, and knowing him, he's probably taking like 20 family members to Hawaii. Again, that's me knowing nothing. Like just that's armchair psychologist Fienberg, who didn't even, do well in his at Western in those classes. But Sahith at 50, that sticks out. That sticks out to me. There's some other things, and they're kind of embarrassing. But for me, it's right now it's Sahith and M. I don't know that I'm going to get there on him, but those are the 2 guys I like.
Yeah, it's just Akshay got much better putting as the season went along, and he's always been really good on these slow surfaces. He had a bunch of wins even on KFT, and he didn't get any of the wins during when he was still eligible to play and had to play in the alternate events in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, but he always putted really well down there and competed down there, and these greens are more like those than your run-of-the-mill PGA Tour event. So I could see both those guys. Was there anyone else in that neighborhood that you did like? Like, yeah, your boy Tony's 40-1. I think he's hurt, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna pass on Tony. That doesn't really do it for me. Obviously, we didn't mention Victor. Nope. I'll just hope to see that engine rev. I know Connors was in South Africa playing on the DP. I don't even know how good or bad he did. I think but I don't want to trust him here. So in front of 50, it's Thiegs. I don't really want to bet any of these guys. Like my heart could get me that like Adam Scott, but I need more. Like I would need more for Adam Scott.
Connors came T6 at the Nedbank, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, if that's relevant. I did him and
Mac Hughes.
Him and Hughes. Yeah, my bunch of them went over.
Yeah, they
I
both
found a little odd.
Connors and Mac Hughes both came T6. They tied with Bezadenhout.
Who's also here, Bezadenhout.
Yeah, I mean, he could be. Listen, he doesn't win anyway. Like, he's not someone I'm going to bet outright, but he's this sort of caliber of player, I think, that can potentially get the job done here this week. Like, if we go a little bit lower to like the 50+ range, so let's say 50 to 100. Now, you can say the name Cam Young, because I know you want to, and you already said his name pre-show.
I just was like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of looking at the odds for the first time. It's just fine. Like, we're here, it's 65. I don't even know what to say about it. Where did he just play that everyone hated him again? I didn't bet it. The Tiger thing. He was playing amazing.
He was
and
first.
Then he went full Cam Young. Yeah,
he was first round leader, I think, in that tournament. So the guys that I'd be looking down here, like, I don't know if I can get there for an outright win, but Grazerman's been really good. And he putts, man. He makes everything.
So that's obviously why he is he's at this number, because when I saw that, I'm like, why isn't Gracerman 100-1? And he's right there he's like 60-1.
Yeah.
So yeah, it must be they know that he is I know it sounds weird, but he's like a guy I feel like the books don't want you to bet because if I priced this thing, I wouldn't have had him there.
So his past 6 starts, including the FedEx Cup playoffs, were 4th, 2nd, 28th, and 33rd. Those are the playoff events. Second. So he has 3 runners up in his past 6 starts.
And again, like he checks the box, Pat, of like to him, this is a game changer that it isn't for almost 85% of the names in front of him on the odds board.
Yeah, like
Maybe
Ben,
more.
Like no,
85% might be a low number for what I meant there.
Let's take everyone who's from his number and down. So he's 65, he's 60, Cam Young 65, Siwoo 65, Keegan Bradley 65, and so is Davis Thompson. So it'd mean a lot to Davis Thompson. Keegan, I mean, I'm sure all these guys want to win, obviously. But for Grazerman, Cam Young, Davis Thompson, Ben Ann, that's basically it.
If they come to this thing ready to run through a brick wall, they've already beaten over half the field.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I don't know if I like Grazer.
Serious, like if they spent Christmas thinking about winning this golf tournament, not getting loaded, eating, carb loading. I know I believe you're already better than half the field. Not at golf, but just like in a position to actually take advantage of this thing.
Trying to find out how he did in his other appearance here. But Pendrith is somewhat interesting here, too, because he's another guy who bombs it. His irons are okay, and he just makes a ton of putts. Like, I'm basically wedge play, adequate. Listen, you can gain anywhere. You can chip in 3 times, and all of a sudden you're going to vault yourself up there as well. But just strong wedges and putting, I think are basically the 2 main things that you need to do here. So I need to go check on the putting for Pendrith. Not so great to end last year. Let's see. Eric Cole, Tom Hoagie, JT, Cam Young, your boy, Nick Taylor, Kazire, Scheffler, Burns. We kind of glossed by Burns, but it feels like he should be better here. If he can hit his wedges well, we know he can putt.
Yeah. And I feel like I watched him. I saw something of him golfing recently, but as I ran it through my head during the show, I think it was just him posting a picture golfing with Trump and Dunlap a few weeks ago.
Well, we're going to bet Dunlap. Get that presidential bump right before inauguration. Yeah, like all we have from these guys are like the hero. Like, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? But I mean, like there are a lot of guys like Mav and Poston truly just gonna try to ride a putter.
I mean, I would have more faith in Poston, honestly. Like he's won the John Deere Classic, and he came second at Heritage. He's won the Wyndham. Like he's won those sort of events that require you to hit a lot of wedges and make a lot of putts. Like he could be like, why can't JT Poston be this year's Chris Kirk?
Absolutely. Like that lines up. I am kind of I'm anticipating, as I've already said, someone from that group already winning, despite me like betting on better players.
All right, what about Davis Thompson then?
I just don't see myself making the bet, but like the points are fair.
Okay.
And he's going to seems like he will play well in the soup. Like you can trust him to go really low, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he has a 62 in him somewhere. Maybe not here when it's a par 73, but the other guys in that range are Pendrith, who I mentioned, Noren is there, Day is there, Bezadenhout is there, and Brian Harmon is 90-1, which I thought was strange.
Like I could see why that's strange, because of like name value.
I mean, name
But
value.
I don't give a shit.
Why? Like, if it's a putting contest, why wouldn't you give a shit?
He's probably
He was 5th here last year.
Yeah, I know. See, this is my problem though. Like he is number 1 ranked player. I never want to see win again.
Okay. But
so it's hard for me to get there, especially on opening day.
All right. Well, he was T5 last year. He was T16 the year before that at this tournament. Now he's 90-1. You
make good points. I'm right behind. Like I don't know, maybe like Will Zalatoris is healthy. Who knows?
Do you trust him to win a hit and giggle?
Not entirely.
No.
Not entirely. But I feel like last year people got really excited about him because he was doing something in Hawaii. My memory might be a blur though.
Did you are you misremembering that potentially? Because I don't think he got to play in this. No, maybe he did get to play in this tournament because he had won the. He did not play this event last year. Then he missed the cut at Sony, and then he was 34th at the American Express. He played well at Farmers, Genesis, and API, and then he got hurt. After the 9th at the Masters, we didn't see him play well again.
Yeah, no, he's someone I'd rather bet Brian Harmon than Will Zalatoris. Absolutely. But I'd rather steal your Nick Dunlap pick than both of them.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's go to the 100+ range. And yeah, Nick Dunlap, I'm betting him for sure. I was even thinking about betting like Rye or Denny or Harry Hall or one of those. What about, okay, how about Eric Cole? 120 to 1. I mean, he's going to be, one of the first 10 picks in every PGA Best Ball Draft. We've seen him play well at Honda. We've seen him play well basically everywhere. It's tough, again, for like a first-timer to sneak in here and do a ton of damage, but I can kind of see it with him because, he rolls a hot putter, especially on Bermuda.
I do believe there is a subset of these guys who are absolutely so fucking live this week. I am just not smart enough to know who.
Okay, so I misspoke on that. He actually played in this event last year and came 14th.
Yeah, I mean, 120 to 1 at a putting contest. I mean, I guess if you're betting Eric Cole, you're probably just, your whole card is just like big number pure rollers.
Yeah, well, I think Dunlap actually presents the best of both worlds with that, where we've seen him roll a hot putter, but he's not consistently great on the greens, but he's just a better ball striker when he's at his elite form than any of them. I thought it was kind of funny that Matt Fitzpatrick is also 100 to 1.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Obviously, he had quite the 24.
Has he played at all?
I am not sure. He's kind of been totally out of sight, out of mind. The number feels huge, but it's like Max Homa. I don't care. Now, I don't believe, my memory doesn't have him as down as bad as Homa was, but I've got no interest in getting there.
So he played 3 times during the European swing, like the Omega European Masters, a tournament which he had won before, T27, 35th at Wentworth, and he missed the cut at the Dunhill Links. So he really hasn't played since the end of October in any serious sort of event, and it's not like he was posting great finishes. His last good finish came out in Memorial when he came 5th, and that was his only top 10 since he played in the Valero. So new year for Matt Fitzpatrick, maybe? Maybe at the beginning of this year, he'll remember to remove the weight from his driver.
That might be on the short list of the most embarrassing professional golf stories of 24.
It's up there.
For a guy who, he takes notes on everything. He is so methodical. For him to miss that is so weird. That's something I would miss. But that's why I'm not in charge of paying attention to that stuff. Nor am I hitting professional golf shots. But, for a guy that just is so intricate and involved in everything about his bag, insanely, it is such a strange story that could happen.
So Fitz, the past 2 years at this event, has been T14, T7. As I mentioned with Herman, he was T5 a year ago and T16 the year before that. So there is some, not necessarily value towards the back end, because these guys might just come T7 and then you get nothing out of it. But 8-way, each way value, top 10 value, then you can sprinkle on the win too.
Yeah. But the problem, I'm looking at this, but you're right. Come next week, the sites that do offer the placings, they'll all be there. And I'm sure we'll see some fancy numbers on those guys to not necessarily win, but to play well. And I'm sure there's opportunity there for him. But I have no interest. The Fitzpatrick and Homa, I wouldn't want to bet them with someone else's money.
Okay.
Maybe this is good for Homa, because he didn't hit a fairway for for a year, but you can't miss him here.
Well, and if you do miss him here, you're in real trouble. Jason,
He was always hitting from trouble.
Jason Day is another one in that area. I thought this was interesting that you had, Chris Kirk, the defending champ. Like, do you have any interest in what he's up to? Because he played really well. Like, he won at Honda, and then when he won here, like, he had a pretty disappointing swing season before coming in and winning this event. So maybe he is someone to look at.
100 and 120.
120. I think that some of these guys will be longer the closer to the event that we get, unless they are the ones that everyone just kind of goes to. Let me run my wedge model. I ran this on the research show yesterday, but just to take a look at it, it just basically puts in proximity 75 to 150 yards weighted together, and then it's 5 to 10 putting, 10 to 15 feet putting, and then putting overall. And I did it by the past 50 rounds. So if we look long term, here are your best guys in the field: Russell Henley, Eric Cole, Harry Hall, Wyndham Clark, Bezadenhout, Scheffler, Burns, Davis Riley, Grazerman, and Xander, and then Hoagie, who's also down here. Although I'm really trying my best to not bet Tom Hoagie this year and lose all my money.
Yeah, I was saving that drop on Hoagie. Where is Wyndham?
Wyndham's like 50 to 1, I think.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was hoping there was a mistake there. I mean, the more we talk about it, and it's so dumb because if I'm gonna like be all like, to like, oh, this guy's gonna be popular in best ball, bet him at the Sentry.
Who cares?
The Eric Cole stuff, I actually think I could. The more I'm thinking about it, I could get into. I don't know if I'm ready to bet it yet, though.
Like, would you rather bet Ben Ann at 50 to 1 or Eric Cole at 120 to 1?
Yeah, no, that's an easy answer, but I was never considering Ben Ann.
All right, so let's shortlist this then. Let's make our short list of the guys that we have interest in to bet, and we don't need to bet them right now. We're still doing this early, and come Monday, maybe I'll put out a refresher on Twitter, and then, of course, when I do the DraftKings show with the final bets and the final weather, I'll have the final bets down. I'll also have the bets in the Mayo Media newsletter, which is completely free with the tournament breakdown that you can hit in the description right now. Go sub for free. Here are the guys that I have going on then. I have Sungjae, Theegala, Akshay, Poston, Grazerman, Cole, and Dunlap. Dunlap's going to be a for sure at 100 to 1 or longer.
I'm going to ride with you on that. It wasn't even a hard talking into. I am Thiegs. I don't know that I'll be at the Sungjae, Thiegs, Dunlap right now, but I could easily see myself. I want to get off Sungjae and kind of just pepper a few more at the back because I really don't want to bet someone near the top. But if it's 30, someone around 30 to 1, so I could probably get in. And Batya, everyone loves him, right? It's the wind and the coastal, like that's where he's peaked. People love that shit.
I just like slow greens. Slow greens for him. I think he can be more aggressive with his putting. That way he's not 3-putting all the time. With these gigantic greens, you take the worst element of his game at a play, which is chipping. And we saw him even at Valero when him and Denny went head to head. It's not like he was playing poorly. He's still pin seeking from wherever. As long as you get him like 150 in, he's fine. And there's just so many of those shots this week.
And I'll be very curious to see how other books price Grazerman. But I'm going to make the assumption that he's not a secret to any of them.
He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be a secret to anyone who has bet on golf over the past 6 months. Yeah. Although the one thing that he's most notable for is making an eagle from the middle of the fairway at a tournament I was at the Wyndham, and then making a quadruple bogey, and then having to come back the next morning to finish because Kuchar didn't want to finish.
Oh. Cringe, painful.
So I just reran this wedges model on fantasynational.com/Mayo. You can build your own up there too. Past 12 rounds with that wedge and putting that I looked at. It's Nico Echeverria, Eric Cole, Pendrith, Ari O, Sam Burns, Nick Taylor, Grazerman, Denny, Dunlap, and Kazire. And then Russell Henley and Wyndham Clark are just below that as well. Like long form, weirdly enough, Scotty and Wyndham Clark are very similar in this model. Short term, it's all Scotty, but long term, it's the both of them.
And I could see why. I feel like if I, started punching up Fantasy National, it would probably lead me to betting Pendrith.
Pendrith has been good, especially since the President's Cup. I mean,
And he putts.
He putts. Leading into the President's Cup, he had played really well. I think that makes a ton of sense. So let me back burner those three guys because they're higher up on the odds board than like we were looking at some of these back end guys, just to give another look to as we go through it. Just the name that continued to pop up on all these lists that wasn't Scheffler, who I'm not going to bet at 2-1, was Sam Burns. But that never goes well for me. Like it always goes. Not only does it go really poorly and I lose all my money, it happens in the most crippling way possible whenever I bet on Sam Burns. Because he's always in it whenever I bet on him. And he'll probably be winning at some point on Sunday. Then just water. Although there is no water at this course. He will find it. He will find hook it into the ocean or something like that. It's like betting on Keith Mitchell.
I could be forgetting a win, but he's also one of these really high-end players on what we would consider quite a drought, right?
Yeah, Burns hasn't won since either that FedEx Cup event or one of the wins that he had. His last win was when he outdueled Scotty at Colonial. Remember, he made that big comeback because he finished early and the weather got really wonky on him?
Yeah. So we're on 2 years.
Yeah, 2022. Going on 3 years.
I might want to bet him. Like, this is a competitor. This is a winner.
I mean,
this is a guy.
Why is he a winner? He hasn't won in 3 years.
But it was 6 wins.
Maybe I'm missing a win.
I'm going to swim around that. 5 wins.
I have him at 4 right now because he probably won some dinky event that's probably not.
You might have won a team event that it's not counting.
Maybe he won the match play in 2023. That's what it was.
Another Scotty duel when Scotty used to miss those putts. Scotty with the putter, man. Oh, we're all so screwed.
No, listen, if he can just be bad, if he can have because he actually punched up from where his putting was at. Like, it's basically starting at Bay Hill last year, and he putted really well to end the year. If he just flips back to being that guy for that year period from basically the Masters when he went completely, lost 10 strokes putting at the Masters in between his 2 wins to Bay Hill the next year. If he can just go back to being that guy again, we're going to get awesome value on everyone all year. Because he's just going to come third every week. We lost your audio.
Was caught on camera.
There we go.
I'm sorry, I don't know if that was caught on camera. That was like an incident. And people invaded this room and I got distracted. So you weren't talking to me, even though you thought you were.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't see that. We didn't catch that on camera either. But yeah.
Good.
The last one that he won was the match play. But the last time he won a stroke play tournament was that playoff over Scheffler at Colonial in 2002.
The only players that have name equity to a certain level that I will bet this week would be guys who haven't won in forever. Okay. As dumb as that sounds.
I mean, Wyndham Clark can win a wedge and putting contest. He most definitely can.
Absolutely. I got excited when I thought there might have been a misprice there, and I was looking for him, and I didn't see him where he was, and I thought it was farther and at that range. But sure, I think you could do something nice with just peppering those 50s with Thiegs and Wyndham and Batya. We may obviously get excited with those bigger numbers, but maybe the play is not those guys, the other good players who are at nearly as good as the top of the board. That might be the segment to play in, the fish, the water to swim in for me.
All right, so that is the betting card, and we'll have the finalized betting card, like I mentioned, later in the week. You can follow Geoff on Twitter at gfienberg17 to get his card as always. I'll have mine on the show and in the newsletter, but let's take a quick pause, and we're going to do a best ball draft on Underdog. Code Mayo. Stay tuned. Introducing the TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league live on ESPN and ESPN+. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Picture this. 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime-forcing, playoff on-the-line golf. with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour, like Tiger and Rory and more, split into 6 teams: Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. To learn more, visit tglgolf.com and tune in to the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf. For 11 months of the year, staying motivated is not a problem for me. Then December hits, the holidays are around, I'm out of my normal routine, and it becomes a struggle to stay motivated and keeping myself laser focused on work and health and getting exercise in every single day just because everything's so out of whack with my schedule being thrown off. The one thing that I've been doing to make sure that I stay on the right path every single day is waking up and drinking my AG1. I get my essentials for nutrients and supplements every single day, and it just makes me feel so good. It makes me motivated to continue to stay focused on what I need to accomplish every single day, no matter how out of the regular routine that my life starts to get. AG1 is a sponsor of the Pat Mayo Experience, so this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprisingly delicious daily health drink. That's why I'm so excited to be partnering with them. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs inside your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/mayo to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/mayo to start your new year off on a healthier note. All right, we're jumping into an Underdog Best Ball contest. Code Mayo to get your deposit bonus up to $1,000. You'll get a free pick for the NFL as well if you're playing in a state that has Pick'em. I'm not going to turn on my notifications. Oh, we're only waiting for 2 people to go in. I have my best ball rankings available down in the description for this episode. They're completely free if you want to go look at them, and I put them all together using fantasynational.com, fantasynational.com/mayo in order to get that done. As we wait for the 2 people, do you want me to read you out some of my rankings here?
Well, I would just say I would help you right now, and like you're probably like sourcing these people through Twitter. I would help you normally and retweet that, but at this moment,
you're banned. You're banned from Twitter.
I am currently in the middle of a 12-hour banning. We don't have to talk about it. We're not talking about it, but I'm currently serving in the middle of a 12-hour suspension, so I can't help you crowdsource these 2 people.
So as we wait to do this, I'm going to fill up my queue with some of the back-end players that I like. Like the way that I'm approaching this, by and large, is to take the 5 really good guys that I like, and then I'm going to allocate the final 5 to 4 picks for guys that are going to play the other field tournaments. If I can find 2 guys that are playing Sentry in Mexico, I think that works out well. We have the second pick in this draft, so we're going to get Scotty or Xander. So that's good news for us, I think. They're both, like I said, they're both playing the American Express. And if you go to Fantasy National, there is a tab at the top. Oh, that's Fantasy Golf Championships. You should go to there too and join the one and done. But if you go to Fantasy National, at the very top on the screen, you can see, if you scroll over a little bit, there is, where is it, the season-long planner, and you can get where these guys have committed to play throughout the course of the year, and the shadow is where they played last year. If you're really looking to map this out and trying to find certain guys playing in certain tournaments to figure it out. Now, I'll have a lot of that for you in here. Like I said, Jake Knapp, Patton Kazire, Harry Hall, Johnny Vegas, Davis Riley, Matt McNeely, Matt McCarty, Chris Goddard, and Rafael Campos are all expected. They're all playing in the Sentry and expected to play in Mexico as well. So they're making their first pick now, Jeff. Scotty's on the board. Do you want to take Scotty? All right, no, it's not Scotty. Scotty's off the board. Do you want to take Xander?
Yeah, I trust you. I mean, this is my first rodeo, so I need this. I'm looking forward to doing this.
All right, so then the next guys in ADP are going to be, when we take a look at it, we got Sungjae, Eric Cole, Morikawa, and Ludwig. Those are the next guys in ADP. So you're right. Davis Thompson is going as pick number 7 overall, and Rory's going at pick 9. You're right. The casual people who jump into this to do a golf draft must not know what is going on. They have to Google who these guys are.
But like you would think, hey, listen, you're a casual bettor, you just want to have some fun and play these games, that's fine. But sometimes when something seems too good to be true, you think like something is wrong here, or I don't know the system for that to be happening. like to know golf well enough, you know who some of those players are, and then you see that Davis Thompson, like you must be you just have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly, but do you really think people are that sharp?
No, I don't. But I think you don't have to be sharp to be like you're just easily confused. And I think there's even smart people who like golf are a little confused. And then they're probably in the middle of the draft, like, just let me double check these rules.
I guess so, but I mean, the rules are set up as such that you have to play the segments. So if you're not getting your points early or in the easier tournaments, then you're just not going to get them.
I think a lot of people blindly enter to enjoy a draft, have fun, to pick the best players available by the best player, on the best player standard that they understand.
I guess so, but like, I mean, this was always one of the very few things that we'd talk about, like even 10 years ago, about even season-long fantasy drafts, that if you're in your pool, you might want to read the rules first in case there's something weird going on, and you can just structure your entire strategy around that, and that's essentially what this is. They made a big mistake running this at the Sentry. Like, they should have waited for Pebble Beach the week between football and the off week, and then you could have got people to join this. Like it's running right now. It's only 40% full. There's $50,000 to first place. It's $10 to enter. Like, there's gonna be massive overlay. If this gets to 60% full, I'm gonna be shocked.
How many entries? It's the max entries?
I think it's 50. You can max 150, and there's like 53,000 entries that you can have in this. It's almost back to our pick, okay?
Yeah.
So Batia's off the board, Ludwig's off the board. We're staring at Davis Thompson, Ben Griffin, Thigala, Siwoo, Connors, Grazerman, and Finau as the next big picks up.
Be nice maybe we can get Gracerman on the back of the turn.
All right. Well, who would you want to take at the first of those two picks? Because it's our pick. Davis Thompson just went. So Rory fell to 2-3 here, the third pick of the second round. We got 20 seconds.
I would lean. I'd go back to the top there.
Ben Griffin, Thigala. You like Thigala or Siwoo? I have Siwoo ranked higher.
All right, so let's go Siwoo.
All right, let's go Siwoo. Taking Siwoo. Siwoo's up for us, and you said on the way back. I mean, if we can get Corey Connors, I think that's a really strong pick as well, mainly because he'll play the Canadian Open.
Yeah, no, Connors plays Valero. Connors plays a lot of places while still being in everything.
And Grazerman was not making it back to us because he was the next pick.
Yeah.
So I think we should go Connors because Mac Hughes just went.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's not that crazy. Like he's gonna have to play in some of these other events. You know he's playing the Honda, you know he's playing the Canadian, and he's someone who's on the periphery of getting into the elevated events, which is kind of the spot where you want to be. You want the guys who play themselves into the elevated events for later in the season, but had to commit to some of the crappier tournaments. Here are a few other guys that kind of fit that. Like Sung Jae is going to be a workhorse, so he's going to play a ton. That's why Eric Cole keeps going so highly as well. I was actually looking at Harmon and Poston because while they are in the elevated events, they're in the majors. They're still going to play some of the other ones too because those are courses where they can win. Like you might see Poston show up at Sony. Who knows?
I think he'll play Sony.
Yeah, I don't have a commit list yet. So Thigala is not yet off the board. It's still a bit to our pick, but Thigala, Finau, Hoagie, Rye, Cantlay, Ben An, and Hovland. Rye is a difficult one because where he has status now and is one, he might play a few more Euro events, I'd guess.
I feel like Buddy Otto picked Thiegs. Yeah, Rye will probably dip over. He'll definitely dip over a bit.
So of the people that are remaining to be able to be drafted, I have Denny McCarthy and JT Poston as my two highest ranked guys. They're both inside my top 12.
Yeah. I'd be good with either of them. I think
do you want to go with this? Do you want to go with a stud here and hope they have a good year? Like, I don't think that Victor, Hideki, JT, who else is there? Yeah, JT is still there. Hideki just went. Yeah. Cantlay.
JT would be one I would, but I feel like some of these other stars would probably go in front of him.
What about perpetual winner Sam Burns?
I like Sam Burns.
So of those, let's say we take a big name and someone from down the list with our next pick, who's also still in these tournaments. Would you want to go with, Rye just went, would you rather go with Victor, Ben An, or Justin Thomas, or Cantlay?
I mean, this would go against my like personal like fandom, but Justin Thomas, I'm actually dumb enough to think there's just no way that's going to continue.
And you might get him at Farmers as well if he decides to play a bunch. So that could be an extra opportunity. Maybe he bites the bullet and goes back to Honda for the first time in ages because he's won there before. Like you have to start. I mean, Sam Burns will probably play Honda, won't he?
No,
He won't?
no.
Wasn't that the spot of like where he? No, that was Berger. Berger's actually a nice pick down the board. So Finau just went. So Cantlay, Ben An, Victor, Justin Thomas are up for our next pick. So it's Justin Thomas, one for you. If he gets taken here, who would you like to take?
Who would you like to take? These are hard decisions for me.
I'd probably take Burns. I mean, I could see Cantlay. Just the hatred of Cantlay personally is really pushing him down the board.
Like I could, yeah. Like I feel like when I'm gonna watch this back, if I do, I feel like I'm Cam Stewart. You're asking me who I like, and my response is, "Who do you like?"
So
Who do you like?
So Cantlay went. We'll take Justin Thomas with our pick. So now we should. I would say we take Dunlap if he gets back to us because he's still there. And if it's not him, I would say we take Denny or JT Poston.
Okay. And what about Pendrith? Where's he in all? Oh, there he is, right there.
Pendrith is ADP number 31. Yeah. So Burns
I guess
just
he's
went.
like Pendrith is like a different tier than he was a year ago, so we could be seeing him play less since he's in some tournaments, right?
That's the way that I would kind of judge it. I think the Cam Davis is a very interesting pick in this as well, because although Pendrith just went, so we'll take Nick Dunlap because he might go defend Amex. I just think where he's young, he might just play more events inherently.
Just play.
As we've seen with a lot of younger players. So I think that's the move. So we'll queue up Denny and JT and Harmon for our next round of picks in case they end up playing in more tournaments. I had Matt McCarty on there. It's just so crazy to see some of these names, and the people that have been drafting early already are very in tune with this, that you're seeing Mark Hubbard and Patrick Rogers and Matt McCarty be higher on this draft board than Jason Day, Will Zalatoris, Russell Henley. Although Steven Yeager, I think, could be interesting.
I'm a fan. But can you just peek at other teams? Like, is anyone in here like just star-studded, like just drafting an all-star team because they...
Where's the guy who took
maybe
Rory?
this guy Colin, Rory, Thiegs, Finau. Let's see what he does here.
Yeah, it's his pick. So yeah, he's Colin, Rory, Thiegs, Finau. Finau's interesting because Byron brought this up early that he is the only one of these guys who might play in Mexico just because he's shown a propensity to do it over the years. But where he got hurt last year, and he just took Hovland. So he's
Victor. This guy. This is the guy. Every draft has this guy, I would assume. At least one of them.
The thing is, I don't hate this start at all. I don't think he's I don't think he's maximizing where he needs to. It's just his next 5 picks need to be off the board now, instead of like filtering it through like we've done. Like we have Xander.
No, he's not.
Well, you don't know that. He hasn't made a pick yet.
His next pick is going to be the best named player available.
So if we had to take bets on who his next pick would be, it's probably Max Homa, Tommy Fleetwood, or Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's not thinking of Denny McCarthy or Poston. I don't believe that for a second.
So Keith,
if he is, that'd be pretty shrewd to stack those powers and then get your Denny's and Postons to supplement them. I'd give him a thumb up.
Yeah, and obviously none of these guys are bad picks per se, only because, if they do go out and play and win 3 times, then you're going to need to have them in order to advance, especially if they end up winning something towards the end of the year. Like Rory becomes more interesting because he probably plays Canada, and ditto with like Lowry. Lowry, I think, is more interesting if you can squeeze your team through, only because he'll play Honda and he'll play Canadian Open almost for sure because he does that every single year. That you start to get him at some of the more offbeat tournaments where a lot of the other big names won't play them.
I could see that.
Is this too much strategy?
Just go?
Yeah, Tommy went.
Tommy just went.
We can't take Tommy. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. He wouldn't because he goes over a bit too.
So yeah, well, you're not going to see many of these guys in January, unfortunately. So You want to go Poston with our next pick?
Yeah, Poston or Denny.
Let's go Poston, because I think Poston's automatically in all the majors, or at least close to all the majors. So he would make more sense here for us. Wyndham Clark just went. Cam Young just went. And that guy actually took Cam Young, by the way, that we were tracking.
So he took Cam Young over the other guys. It was Cam Young over Wyndham, essentially, seemed like his.
Yeah, that's where he went. And no one is touching Homa in this spot. So we took Poston. The guy at the turn took Eckroat. So I think that actually makes a lot of sense. Now we're into like Paul's guy, Andrew Novak. I would take.
I don't mind that.
Novak's not bad, but like, would you rather take Novak or like Michael Thorbjornsen, who actually might be really good?
I am a slut for that Thorbjornsen. And you made the burger comment. Is that because like he obviously needs to find his way again, but he has the ceiling to end up in a lot of big places, but he's going to have to play his way back to them?
Exactly. And if not, maybe he can just kind of contend in all these birdie fests. I just took Harry Hall for us, by the way.
Like Burger could, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind Harry Hall at all.
Yeah, so I want to get Jake Knapp with our next pick because obviously I think that he's another one who's just going to play a bunch and where you might get, obviously Sentry, Mexico defending, and you might get him at Torrey Pines as well, where he came third a year ago, which I think just would make sense because it's not like he's a lock to have a 20-year career on the PGA Tour. Go get your money right now.
Homa, finally.
So we're back to this guy who was just drafting studs. So I'm guessing his pick is Spieth or Harmon.
I don't know what the stud is. Harmon, yeah.
Yeah, there's no real studs left.
Is that Willie Z, like with name equity or Day? But yeah, he's auto picked.
And it was Brian Harmon.
Yeah. So there. He's got the most career wins in his lineup.
That he does. I don't know if he has the most career wins for this year, but we'll end up seeing about that. So Matt McCarty ended up going. So some of our other options I have up on the screen here. I like Knapp the most. Denny is still there. I mean, I like Denny more than I like Knapp. I just don't think Denny's going to get back to us here. But Vegas, Riley are two other ones that you can go with. Chris Gotterup is another really interesting one because he's in the Sentry because he won that like weirdo tournament. But he'll almost assuredly have to play all the other loser events.
And like Berger and Thorbjornsen would be our last two picks.
Yeah.
Like that's where they're going, or
yeah, or even like a friend of the show, Michael Kim. If people missed the Michael Kim interview that I did, that's up on the network right now. You can go check that out. He was very forthcoming, by the way, which I really enjoyed.
I like that about him. Oh, good to see someone taking Tommy Dietz.
Hey, he's another one. Like he's in the Sentry. He might play some of those other events too.
We didn't bring him up. I saw him at 170-1 on that Sentry board.
So this guy went Spieth and Keegan back to back. Like one thing that I think our lineup in this draft is missing in a weird way is some of that upside. We don't have a ton of upside for strong tournaments, but we have a lot of upside for bad tournaments.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the all-star team picking again.
It's probably Denny if I had to guess, unless they want to go with Jason Day.
Like Day or Willie.
Yeah, Day or Willie would be interesting.
But you know what? The guy loved his team so much after 5 picks. It seems like he's gone to auto because the last one seemed auto.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe he was auto drafting the entire time anyway, and that's how he ended up with those guys.
That is possible. He's about to take Denny then here.
Yeah, he did.
Well, Denny's a great player to supplement those superstars.
That's actually a great pick. But I mean, Denny might not even play in the like plethora of events that you need him to play in, unfortunately. It's just amongst the very top guys. I think that he and Harmon, like I mentioned, with Cole, Connors, Siwoo, are the most likely to go play in those tournaments.
How many rounds is it?
It's 10. So we're almost done. We have 3 more picks, and we pick next. This guy is picking, let's see here, Patrick Rogers, so we can take Jake Knapp.
Jake Knapp.
So we'll get Jake Knapp, and they'll be back to us in a second. Do you want to take one of these like jabroni guys, or do you want to take like a Jagger? Because I think that Novak almost plays in all of these events.
Yeah, I like Novak, Jagger, and then I have no problem starting to think about Berger and Thorbjornsen, but
Mac Messenger, I forgot about that guy. So, like, would you rather take Novak or Thorbjornsen? I guess is the question.
I would rather take Thorbjornsen, but I'm still happy if we see Novak again to pull that.
Well, with our last pick, we can do something interesting here. Like we can take Davis Riley, who is going to play in the Sentry. Like the Sentry is the lowest scoring tournament of the year. So having as many guys in that really is kind of key, which is really nice. But Gotterup is the other one that we could maybe go with too, who will almost certainly play in those other events. Like it got to the point where Nico Echeverria is going around the same pick as Rory, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But he plays in those events where you score a lot of points.
That guy's way older than I thought he was.
Really? I thought he was
He's in
super
his
young.
Oh, right.
Kevin Yu is another one because Kevin Yu is in Sentry as well because he won during the swing season. Noren is another one, but I think Noren might be too good for this. Like Noren's not showing up to Mexico, is he?
I don't believe so.
But Kevin Yu might play all those tournaments.
No, there's no way Noren goes to Mexico. He's 30, Echeverria.
Okay, yeah, that's older than I would have expected. Not that that worries me at all. Like, would you
No, not at all.
Would you rather have Davis Riley, Gotterup, Kevin Yu, or Kevin Yu? One of those three guys.
I'd rather Davis Riley, but I trust you.
Kevin Yu just went, so we can't take him. So it's between Riley and Gotterup. So Kevin Yu, Zalatoris just go. Andrew Novak just came off the board to that guy that we thought was auto drafting, but he took Andrew Novak. Wonder what his team looks like now. So after Cam Young, Harmon, Denny, Novak, it's actually pretty good.
Not bad.
He
supplemented the stars pretty good there with Novak and Denny.
Like he needs another Novak type, I think, with his final pick, but that actually ends up being a really nice team. Interesting. We'll see how it goes. Oh, Rico Hui went. Remember that guy?
Yeah, of course.
So Rasmus Højgaard didn't get selected, but he's in all the elevated events because he was the #1 status player coming over from Europe. But he might stick around and play a few more too, just probably not early. Same as Thirsty Lawrence, that he'll have to play in these Goober events, but he might play in the Middle East to start the year.
I don't mind Rasmus at all.
We got to be a bit more discerning here. I mean, it seems like you like everyone.
No, yeah, I do like that. Would be my problem. There's not many guys I dislike. I'd be happy to draft Rasmus, Riley.
So this one's interesting. So Bobby Mack went to that same team that we were just talking about, where you don't like if you think that you can get yourself into the next round with the players that you have, Bobby Mack's going to be in every major, every elevated event. However, during the final portion of the season, he's gonna play Canada and he's gonna play the Scottish, which is pretty. Depending on how the scoring works at those courses, just having him there is pretty huge. Rasmus Højgaard goes. So Davis Riley or Gotterup, your pick.
Riley.
Davis Riley. Because we'll probably get him Mexico, Farmers. We got him at the Sentry. He'll most definitely play Colonial again without all the big names. He'll play Valspar because he almost won that before. So, yeah, let's take a look at our team here. See how we did. See how you like it. And you can go punch this into Byron's tool as well, at the Model Maniac on Twitter. He has it up in his description right now. You can find it there and actually rate out your team to see how it does. So we have Xander, Siwoo, Connors, Thomas, Dunlap, Poston, Harry Hall, Jake Knapp, Thor Bjornsson, and Riley. Thor Bjornsson is the only one of our players who is not playing this week at the Sentry.
And this Logan character picking, I just was looking at that team. This guy, like, really, he watched your show.
Or he just read the rules, one of the two.
Or he read the rules.
It wasn't the most difficult strategy in the world to land on. So his team went.
Right.
His team is Eric Cole, Akshay, Hoagie, Mav, Echeverria, McCarty, Dietrich, Hubbard, Day, and Rico. So his problem is going to be elevated events and majors.
We actually, I actually disagree. We have some big event ceiling players.
We have Thomas and Xander.
I guess I'm the loser that likes Corey Connors.
Yeah, just because you bet on them all the time and they don't win doesn't mean they're like great players.
You're right. I take it back.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to load up your team because some of these guys are so valuable, right? Like Grazerman's so valuable. Cole is so valuable. I think that Akshay and even Tom Kim, because he doesn't have full status, into all of the elevated events, that he might have to go other places. We know that Siwoo has to go play places. We know that Davis Thompson does, hence why they're going so highly in all these events. But like I said, if you can find some sort of corollary with Sentry and Mexico just to get you through the first few, like those guys are entirely valuable. And again, I'll mention the names: Knapp, Kazire, Hall, Vegas, Riley, McNeely, Matt McCarty, Chris Goddard, and Rafael Campos are the ones, and Echeverria maybe as well, are the ones that I have projected to play in both. So those guys, you don't need to like fill your team with those 8 guys, but getting 2 of those guys helps alleviate a lot of the problems. Like, we might not have enough Mexico Open, honestly, on our roster. We have 1, 2, 3, maybe we have 4. It'd be nice to have 5, but 4 is not bad. 4 is going to be more than most people, I think.
This was so helpful for me.
I hope it's helpful for everyone.
Yeah, because I'm about to get into it in the coming days.
Well, I'll send you my rankings, and you can go off those.
Good. Thank you.
But I'll have a strategy video. I mean, it's already out. It's a part of the research show, but we're filming this first. That's going to be a part of the research show. I'm going to do a draft with Idone as well on that show, and I'm going to release a newsletter for both this strategy and one and done strategy. If people are looking for that, well, I'm glad that you were able to join me from your vacation. Well, we're back, and you'll be at home for Sony. I'll be at home for Sony. The one and done will start at Sony. The Sony feels like an exhibition, or at least an appetizer for the golf season, where Sony feels like a real thing.
Yeah, of course. But there's also a part of me that kind of feels like Waste Management and Pebble is just like the actual opening day.
Yeah, but this is
okay.
So let's structure it this way. The Sentry is like the Hall of Fame game. Sony, Amex is kind of like the preseason. Then you get to Farmers, Pebble, Waste Management. Then it feels like the real season.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're like, football's over, and I, my attention is fully on golf.
Yeah, well, your attention needs to be on golf right now for best ball.
And not a single live player got drafted in that thing, eh? They
No.
just get the IDP. I mean, for obvious reasons, but I guess people know the rules enough to know not to do that.
I would hope so. Like, look.
Have you seen live players get drafted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rom and Bryson are usually the two that go. So Brooks is a big game hunter. He's going to win all the majors. But like I said, coming 47th in Mexico is going to be worth more points than winning the U.S. Open, with the way that this structure works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'd rather have guys that play in like the Rocket Mortgage or the Canadian Open than the U.S. Open.
Yeah, the guys that play like the Midwest majors.
Yeah, like. If you knew Spieth was healthy, he would be interesting because he plays all those stupid Texas events.
Even though we didn't take him, I could see myself being like at 80% burger when I see my stats at the end of my draft bonanza.
Well, if you believe, if you just want to make some calls on guys, I mean, that's the great part about the back end of these drafts. Like, if you can just call a guy having a really good year, like if you could have called, hell, even Bobby Mack played the Mexico Open last year. If you had just taken Bobby Mack in this format last year, he and Davis Thompson would have been the 2 best picks. Or Eckroat.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're not wrong. I guess you think about it like that. Like, who ended up being the best picks last year that you weren't sort of even in that stratosphere thought wise? You gotta think. So yeah, I'm gonna get cocky and try to make some calls.
Well, I mean that's the way to do it. Just let the first few picks fall to you. Take your 2 or 3 studs. Next, take that lower tier down of guys that we're gonna play some other tournaments, and just swing away with 4 picks.
Beauty. Thank you.
All right, Geoff Fienberg, live from Florida, is joining you. You can follow me at ThePME, sub to the newsletter, code Mayo at Underdog, and fantasygolfchampionships.com. I already told you about the giveaways to get a free entry, but the best way to do that is to go get your entry right now because it's over 40% full, and this stuff fills quickly. And you can have up to 5 entries. $1 million in the prize pool, $100K to first place, and it's something to do all season long. And you can set up text alerts to get yourself texted if you haven't made a pick, which would just be fantastic news. And it is, because I almost missed my pick, 15 times last year. Got my message on Wednesday night, be like, oh yeah, got to put in a team. Still didn't come in the money, but it was the thought that counts for it. I didn't miss any picks, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience. experience!